Okay, we are ready to begin the trial.
All rise. The court of the City of Walla is now in session. The Honorable Judge Ulysses Wright at the back.
May I proceed?
The Honor in this case is the City of Walla versus Mr. Balmer.
May the prosecution begin their statements.
May it please the court?
Yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Simone Tuilaepa, lead prosecuting attorney, and I am here on behalf of my client, the City of Walla Walla. Today I am here to prove that the defendant, a cold-blooded malicious man, is guilty of all charges pressed against him, including the first-degree murder of an innocent son, father, and hardworking man. 2 witnesses will be called to the stand, proving that the victim was a heartfelt man who may have been rough around the edges but only had the best intentions in mind. The first, 10-year-old Annabelle Slade, the daughter of the victim who awaited her father's arrival 2 nights before Christmas, only to leave the holidays in turmoil and grieving for the young girl who is now fatherless, homeless, and far from wordless. The second witness is Mr. Philip Grant Jr., the vendor for the defendant. This man has trusted the defendant for over 15 years to use his products to satisfy customers and has been betrayed. He will prove that the defendant has never purchased wood alcohol before the murder of the innocent Mr. Slade, and how the murder weapon was coolly and intentionally used to kill an innocent man by this scoundrel. Now, my opponents may make a point by saying that the defendant has suffered a version of battered wife syndrome after being physically abused by Frater Slade. What we would like to bring up is that these fights were rarely started by the victim and would only become physical after being harassed by the defendant. The defendant had purposely harassed Mr. Slade, undoubtedly knowing that he was illiterate, which is not only inhumane, but makes the defendant an animosity to society. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today I stand before you, not asking you to choose right from wrong, guilty or not guilty, but to bring justice to a deceased man, his daughter who is now alone in the world, and this courtroom. Thank you.
Judge Razzo, I just wanted to make sure you were aware that you had a stool to sit on.
Okay. All right. And now the defense representative there.
May it please the court.
Yes, ma'am.
Honorable Judge, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, opposing counsel, I am Adolfo Garcia, and we are gathered here today to the defense of Mr. Balmer, the owner of the Moon Dance Mercantile Company. Mr. Balmer is a quiet man who runs his store in peace. He never goes out and looks for trouble. He never goes around harassing anyone, but yet he's been charged with the murder of the plaintiff. We will prove why this is wrong. You see, every day the plaintiff would cheat and steal from Mr. Balmer. And you see, plaintiff would come in to Mr. Balmer's store, grab some alcohol, and drink it right in front of his face, and then later refuse to pay him back. Oh, and did I mention how the plaintiff would also physically and verbally abuse Mr. Balmer? Yeah. Well, Mr. Balmer reached a point where he couldn't handle it anymore. You see, Mr. Balmer suffered from battered clerk syndrome. When you put weight on an egg, it will eventually crack. Our 2 witnesses, Dr. King and Al, will prove that the plaintiff's poor and unfair treatment of Mr. Balmer is common knowledge, and that Mr. Balmer tried to put an end to things in a peaceful manner. So, in the end, I ask you, the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, to find Mr. Balmer innocent of first-degree murder due to extenuating circumstances. Thank you.
And the prosecution may make their case.
May it please the court.
Yes, ma'am.
The prosecution calls Philip Grant Jr. to the stand.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Stay standing.
State your name for the court.
Philip Grant Jr.
What is your relationship to the case?
I am the owner of Alcohol Incorporated, the alcohol corporation that the defendant has been buying alcohol from for the past 15 years.
Now, can you explain to us what wood alcohol is?
Wood alcohol is a highly poisonous form of alcohol. One of its main ingredients has the same properties of antifreeze.
Now, is antifreeze a deadly poison?
It is. If ingested, it will kill you within minutes.
Now, do you believe, does the defendant usually be the owner of whiskey?
He does. I was very surprised at the cancellation of his whiskey order in place of wood alcohol.
Now, was your wood alcohol on sale?
It was. We had 50% off if you buy 5 casks.
How many casks did the defendant buy?
5 casks, just as the advertisement said.
Did the defendant specifically ask for wood alcohol, or did you happen to mention it?
He specifically asked for wood alcohol.
So, now, when he ordered wood alcohol, were you surprised?
Yes. His usual order of 7 casks of whiskey was almost ready to be loaded into our supply wagons.
Okay, so what I have here, ladies and gentlemen, whiskey and wood alcohol. And you can tell by the transparency and appearance that they are very similar. And for a person who cannot read, they can be confused very easily. Now, I believe that the defendant specifically asked for wood alcohol to poison.
If you're done, you can say your witness.
The witness.
Mr. Garcia, would you like to cross-examine this witness?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then your witness means you sit down and they come up.
You are the owner of the So you mentioned before that wood alcohol is extremely deadly.
Louder, please, for the court.
Do you want me to say it again? You mentioned before that wood alcohol is deadly, right?
Yes.
So why was it on sale?
Because we needed to clear out our stock. Nobody was buying enough.
Your Honor, I object.
Yeah.
Relevance.
So how well did you advertise wood alcohol?
We send out a catalog every month within the first 2 weeks. And in the catalog, there was a large advertisement for wood alcohol, 50% off with 5 casks or more.
Okay. Was this something that I find it very odd that your company sells this deadly poison?
Well, yes, wood alcohol is used to defrost pipes and certain other materials.
Have you ever seen Mr. Bonner's
I have not. He always sends in a telegram ordering.
so you have no idea what it is? So the wood alcohol that he ordered can surprise you because of that.
No, that just because he had not ever ordered anything but whiskey from me.
So when you get other questions, or should I say, when other people ask you for wood alcohol, it was a surprise also?
No, because there are many uses for wood alcohol. If people are first-time buyers, or I just give them what they order.
Okay. Okay. Can you recall the witness in this case? Do you think that it was because of Mr. Bonner?
Your Honor, I object. Calls for speculation.
Sustain.
If it may please the court, Judge, I want to remind you too of the minutes. Cross-examination, no more than 2 minutes for each witness. Okay? Did you want to redirect, Alex?
No.
Then the witness may be excused. Call your next witness.
May it please the court? The prosecution calls Annabelle Slate. Please state your age for the court. 11 years old. And what is your relationship to Ryder Slate? Did your father ever come home hurt? Sometimes Dad would come home with a bruise or a bloody nose, but I used to apologize because I was afraid that he would get too emotional. Were you aware of the ongoing fights between your father and his admin? No, I wasn't sure who he was getting fights with. Did your family ever have money issues? Yeah. After Mom died, things started getting really tight. It was really hard. How did your father support you being a single child? Sometimes he had to steal to get what we needed to survive. And was your father a criminal before your mother died? No, he wasn't ever really a criminal, I would say. But he started getting into trouble after. Is that when the alcohol started to come? Yeah, after he got really depressed and he started acting really weird. He started drinking a lot, and I felt really bad for him. What were you doing the day your father died? Well, this Christmas was the first year that Dad got off work, so I was waiting for him to come home so we could decorate the Christmas tree together. But he didn't come home. And how does his death affect you? Now I'm in foster care. I have no home, no friends, no family. How's all that?
Now the defendant in the case.
May it please the court?
Annabelle Slate. So, Annabelle, you said your father did steal. Yes. From Mr. Bonner. Yes. Did you ever meet Mr. Bonner? I didn't. Have you ever seen Mr. Bonner shop? I haven't. Okay. On the day that you found out that your father had died, what did who were your thoughts? I was really sad. He was dead soon. So you also said that your father never got off for Christmas Eve. So you think Mr. Bonner overworked him? And your father drank excessively. Yes. And you said money was tight. It was. So, if money was tight, where do you think your father was getting all the alcohol? To steal it. Okay.
Your Honor, I object. Calls for speculation.
Sustain. Now let the defenseman make their case.
May it please the court,
Come in.
the defense calls Dr. King to the stand.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
State your name for the record.
Dr. King?
Did you ever see Slade attack Bomber?
Yes, once. I broke up one of their fights.
How did Slade act around Bomber?
He was very mean and stole.
And Bomber around Slade?
He was nice and active.
What was your relationship with Bomber?
I was just a customer.
And what was your relationship with Slade?
I just saw him around the store.
Did you favor one over the other?
Not at all.
Did Slade for sure steal from Bomber?
Yes, I saw him do it.
How often would you say this happened?
2 weeks, or twice a week.
So pretty often.
Yes.
Did Mr. Bomber ever try to stop Slade?
Yeah, caught him once, and that's when we got in a fight and we broke that.
Would you say that he has the right to be pretty mad
Yes, I think so.
because it happened so often? Your witness?
May I please come? Dr. King, you said that at one point you had gotten into the middle of the fight between the defendant and had broken it up. Are you where you started the fight? I believe I was not at the beginning of it. And how often would you say that you shop at Mr. Bomber's store? Maybe 2 times a month. When you shop at the store, do you, aside from Mr. Slade stealing, have you ever seen him do I have seen him get in a couple verbal fights with Mr. Bomber. Okay, now you said you have seen Slade, Mr. Slade steal about twice a week. How is this so if you can shop at the store about 3 times a month? That is all wrong.
The witness can step down.
Okay.
Call your next witness.
We'll have to call Alex Research.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
Okay, so what is your name?
Alice Watson,
And how old are you now?
17.
17. So can you tell me your relationship with Mr. Bomber?
Well, ever since my father died, Slade and Mr. Bomber gave me a job. He encouraged my studies and the work that my family in the streets.
And can you tell me your relationship with the plaintiff?
I've never really met him, but from what I saw, when I was working in the shop, he would come in, disrupt things, just cause a lot of problems for us.
Can you describe the relation between Mr. Bomber and the plaintiff?
Well, Mr. Bomber would always try to breathe him around, but Slade just wouldn't accept it. And Slade verbally, physically abused him.
So did Slade ever attack Mr. Bomber?
There was a time where Slade refused to pay Mr. Bomber back for stealing some alcohol, and it just got out of hand, and Slade started pushing and punching him. When Mr. Bomber was already on the ground, he continued to attack him, crushed his hand.
So did Slade ever steal from the store?
I never saw him do it, but he would show up and leave and think something would be missing.
And how much trouble did Slade cause in the store?
Unfair.
Your witness?
Mr. Slade actually abused, well, the only time he saw Mr. Slade, he was abusing the defendant, correct?
He would come into the store.
And did you know anything of Mr. Slade's rough life? Did you know about his ongoing depression or how Mr. Balmer may have treated him outside of the store?
Objection, objection, relevance.
Don't know. Member of the jury, did you say something?
I can't remember.
Uh-huh. Good, because members of the jury shouldn't say anything. Or the audience. Yeah, the witness may step down. Accused or not.
You like Father Keith? So, Mr. Balmer, please describe to us your relationship with the plaintiff.
Well, I guess we were friends, but I always tried to be nice to him sometimes. I guess he just always came back with rude comments and mean jokes.
Describe your relationship with Al and Dr. King.
I saw Dr. King. We never really talked that much, but I saw him in the store a few times. Al, he's a really nice kid. He works really hard, so I like him having him around the shop.
And how often did Slade go into your store?
A few times a week, I guess.
And every time he went into the store, did he always cause trouble, or were there some days he didn't?
Some days are better than others, but usually there was something just always going on.
So, are there any other customers who are applying Slade, or any other workers who are in the store?
Your Honor, I object. Cause for speculation.
You may answer the question, witness.
No, I don't think so. None that really caused that much trouble.
Your witness.
You stated that he had constantly thrown verbal comments that was put to you. Did you ever say anything to him? Usually when he came to me with a mean joke, I just kind of laugh it off, but deep inside it really hurt, kind of angered me. You were aware that the plaintiff was illiterate, correct? So, if the plaintiff became a problem in the store with stealing, why did you ever think about firing him? I was afraid. It scared me. Well, obviously, he felt like he had power over me with all the verbal attacks and abuse. Now, did you ever think about having the police involved at all? I'm scared to say anything, like I said. The prosecution once again, good afternoon. My name is Simone Tuilaemba, the prosecuting attorney in this case, and I'm here in favor of my client, the city of Walla Walla. A few points that we would like to bring up really quick, of course. The defendant, he could, if it is true that he is guilty of the murder of the plaintiff, there could have been many other ways he could have handled the situation. For instance, going to the police. And although he had said that he was scared, the police could have, if they had found that Mr. Slade did become a problem, there could have been precautionary taken, such as a restraining order or just firing him. And that was that. Any other defense? No.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as I said before, we came here today to prove Mr. Balmer's innocence. And I believe the evidence that I put on the table is valid. As you heard from Al's testimony, Mr. Balmer is a peaceful man who wishes the best for his community and his employees, including Slade. Mr. Balmer rehired Slade even after Slade had broken his hand. And you learned from Dr. King's testimony that the plaintiff was a thief, a scammer, and a huge disruption in Mr. Balmer's daily life. Now, the opposing counsel believes that Mr. Balmer just decided to kill him off with wood alcohol, but the salesman never saw the inside of Mr. Balmer's store. So how would he know if he just bought it just to kill the plaintiff? There are plenty of things that wood alcohol can be used for, like lighting lamps, or to kill off things like rats, you know? And so Slade did steal from Mr. Balmer. You learned that from her daughter. And Mr. Balmer tried to end things peacefully. The verbal fights, he tried to laugh them off, and then said they did hurt. So if anyone is responsible for the plaintiff's death, it is the plaintiff himself. We know that Mr. Balmer wouldn't have done this under normal circumstances. So I ask you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, to find Mr. Balmer innocent of first-degree murder due to the extenuating circumstances. Thank you.
And now, if the prosecution wants to remain and present another.
What do you say?
Wait, well,
Okay.
okay, support. One last thing we'd like to bring up was how would they know about the version of battered wife syndrome that they had presented with the defendant if they had never called a doctor to get it checked out? So in our opinion, that is not a valid case. That is all. Thank you.
Questions to the jury, Judge?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is my duty as judge to instruct you in the law that applies to this case. It is your duty as jurors to follow these instructions and apply the rules as you find them from the evidence. You must not be concerned with the wisdom of any rule of law stated in these instructions, regardless of any opinion you may have as to what the law ought to be. It would be a violation of your oath to base a verdict upon any other view of law than that given in the instructions of the court. If in these instructions any rule, direction, or idea is repeated or stated in different ways, no emphasis thereon is intended by me and none may be inferred by you. For that reason, you are not to single out any certain sentence or any individual point or instruction and ignore the others, but you are to consider all the instructions as a whole and regard each in the light of the others. The order in which the instructions are given has no significance as to their relative importance.
And thank you. I'm looking at time. So the jury needs to file out, please, and go deliberate in the hallway.